Hey guys, I just wanted to mention that this video was sponsored by the app Joyride. And Joyride is by Drive Tribe, which is the guys from the Grand Tour. Pretty cool, right? So go download the app, spot a blue car, and you get a chance to win a $50 Amazon voucher. Thanks so much, and here's your video.
What makes you an exception?
So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a 1997 Honda Del Sol. I have not had a lot of opportunities to drive the Del Sol because the last time I did, my friend's car was stolen. The last time I had an opportunity was my friend Kyle up in Detroit, Michigan, and his car was stolen at the Woodward Dream Cruise. So here we are once again, down south, where it wasn't stolen. This belongs to my buddy Brian. I met him at Import Alliance 4 years ago in the back of my hotel. He was like, hey, what's up? I see your stuff. We should do a video sometime. And now we're finally doing it 4 years later. And he has this Del Sol. It's gone through so many setups since we've met. He's had the car 2 years, and now it's finally F2B swap. F20B to a B series trans, and the trans has small stuff done to it to the point that it's basically a Type R trans. So it has a very short gear ratio compared to like an LS VTEC trans or something like that. First thing first, you'll notice it is kind of loud because the muffler, because this car was actually boosted. So when it was boosted, it kind of baffled everything up, quieted it down, but then it went out on the way to Import Alliance another year. So now he just has an all motor setup, reliable, enjoy it. I don't blame him whatsoever. A lot of people, when they do the F2B, they call it H2B because it's essentially an H22, but the sleeves are a little bit different and the displacement's a little bit different too, but not by much. This is a 2.0, the H22 is a 2.2, H23 is a 2.3. You understand, numbers, letters, all that good stuff. If you don't know Hondas, just follow the numbers, and that's the displacement. B18, 1.8, B20, 2.0, B18 C5 is the Type R, but you could go on all day. You can learn so much by talking to Honda people and asking them questions, because it sounds like they're giving you a math problem and solving for X when they tell you about Hondas. With the Del Sol, what's so interesting about it is it was primarily created for a female audience. And what's funny about that, very much like the Miata, even though it looks feminine, dudes bought them. And Honda was thrown for a complete loop. Funny story, the 240SX was the same way. They thought that was gonna be a women's car, and it just wasn't. Everybody found out it was fun to drive, and that's what happened. What an experience. God, that was 7,000 RPM. I had so much leeway on that pull. A beautiful Grip Royal wheel here. Grip Royal, shout out to you guys, you make great stuff. And normal gauges, you got AFRs right here. Oh yeah, right, we're not boosted anymore. We have AFRs, but that's still important if you have a tuned car. Just got to retune to clean it up in between the RPMs, so it's driving incredibly smooth. Solid motor mounts though, but it doesn't vibrate as much as you'd think. A lot of the times with solid motor mounts, you're physically getting your spinal, like your spine shaken to death. But with this, you really don't see it that way. What the heck? But I can tell you what, this car has 380,000 miles on it. Brian bought it at 320,000 miles. So that alone is impressive that this chassis is just not literally falling apart as we're driving it. Honda built their stuff to last if you did not modify them. So if you don't modify the Honda, it'll literally run forever as long as you take care of it, change the oil, all that good stuff. But even the all motor swap setups So once again, as long as you have a good ECU system, all that, it'll run perfectly. It's when you start turboing things, that's when you start running into risk. So that's why Brian was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep it like this for a while so I can just enjoy it, road trip it, stuff like that. Because when he did road trip it when it was turbo, that's when things got a little too hot, just cruising up in the RPMs. Because short gear ratio, cruising at a high RPM, things get hot with boost added to it. We also have a stage 2 clutch, which is ACT, so it is a little bit heavier. I chirped second and third. That felt so good. And of all the Hondas I've driven, I think this is the easiest one to drive fast. For some reason, the shifter, where it sits, the clutch grabs just the right time. A lot of the other cars, I kind of struggled to get that banging gear sensation. But with this, I just went right into it. As long as you're confident, you're good. But what I noticed on that last pull though is when I got on it and I finally was hitting like top of third, going into fourth, it was starting to get a little unsettled due to the short wheelbase. It was like starting to kind of crab walk in a way like this. I was like, this is where I need to stop, because I was coming up on a very sharp corner. And I was like, okay, I should probably let off, but it was still pretty awesome. It's like a light switch. As soon as VTEC hits, you just notice. Yeah, the only thing I'm not crazy about is when you're kind of cruising, and it's that raspiness stereotype Honda. But other than that, that's the eBay muffler, dude. If you had a normal muffler on this, whatever. It's right there. Okay, so another thing. This revs to 8,500 RPM. So you remember Mark's K-Series Civic that I did recently? That's a K-Series, and you expect that. But with the F20B swap, or H20B, revving that high is crazy. So it's really cool that we can go that high. And the check engine light is not to scare you and run back to your garage or get towed. It's actually your shift light. So every time the check engine light comes on, that's when you shift. Because when you rev a Honda out really high up, it'll feel almost bad if you're not used to it. But the key is if you have that shift light, it'll tell you you're just fine, just shift right then and you're good. So what we have here as well is basically a full exhaust all put together, has a resonator, all that stuff, but it's still loud. But eBay muffler pretty much, but once again, when it was turboed, it wasn't so bad. Now it's a little bit louder because there's nothing in between the motor and the exhaust. So when you add that turbo, pretty much to any platform, it's really strange when you boost a car because it'll quiet it up when you think it's gonna be louder with more power, but it's not always the case. Only when you do like an open downpipe or hood exit on a Honda do you get that. It has a 5-speed, no 6-speed, before that era, but it actually cruises around 3,000 RPM when you're around 60 miles an hour, so it's not too shabby. It's not like some 4-banger cars where you're revving to like 5 when you're on the highway. That's always really annoying. But this also has a limited slip differential in it, Impact 3. So what that means is both wheels in the front are at the same rate. A lot of the times when you have a Honda with a little bit more power or with a swap, you get the notorious torque steer with trying to keep the car in the lane. So that's always really frustrating. You guys might remember I did this RSX that was boosted and it was all over the road. I would hop like 3 lanes over, and that's what made me really go, if you have a Honda, for God's sake, put an LSD in it if you have a swap or have more power in it. But if you have like a D series or something, you're probably okay. This car has every single bushing replaced on it, and it has NRG suspension all the way around. We have Koenig wheels, which are really nice, and Hankook tires. So the car feels really raw, connected to the road. You can tell it's of its time in a way, to where, you know, they didn't have as much computer stuff going on and all that, and that's why when you turn in, you know, there's no power steering, there's stuff like that. So it feels like you're connected to the road. Plus, I'm sitting really, really low. I am on the ground. You think you're low in an S2000? This feels even lower. And the wheelbase is shorter than a Civic. So the rear windshield, which by the way, rolls down. See, look, I can do that. And you literally see the trunk right there. There's no like longevity to the car. It is you, the hood, and that. And this also has hood spacer, so no, his hood is not broken. Also, you might notice The door panel has a color matched door panel right here to this color, which by the way is the original paint. And being original paint for almost 400,000 miles is pretty impressive because there's only basically one spot on the back that's a little rough, but the rest of the car looks fine. A little bit of like hail damage and stuff on the hood, but once again, 5 feet away, you're fine, no problem. It was actually wrapped by the previous owner, we think, because it's not original, but it was done really well. There's a little spot on the end, but honestly, I thought it was OEM, kind of like an old VW Beetle where everything's color matched, so that's pretty cool. But the Del Sol is one of the few Targa top Hondas ever made, and it's interesting because it fits the car so well. If they only made a hardtop of this, I think it would have been fine. But at the same time, it gives it some personality when it has the Targa. If you can get over the raspiness of the drone when you're cruising around, it's fun. But when you hit VTEC, it's a lot of fun. But it's weird having kind of a low-end punch with VTEC. You know, usually it's the other way around where you're kind of waiting and waiting and waiting, then it kicks on. This just does it, and it feels really nice. All right, everybody, I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and watching this video on the Honda Del Sol. I had a fantastic time driving it. Del Sol, in conclusion, it's a lot more fun to drive than you think. It looks kind of feminine. Actually, no, it looks feminine, and that's okay. But just like the Miata, it's very, very fun. It kind of feels like a front-wheel drive Miata in a lot of ways. The short wheelbase makes it a little unpredictable, but in a fun way, as long as you don't hurt yourself. In the end, a lot of fun. Huge thanks to Brian for driving about 2.5 hours to let me drive his baby. And I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to hit that subscribe and the bell. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.